SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Did you just receive an inheritance? Take a breath, then call our team. We'll help you honor that legacy by making smart, tax-efficient decisions that protect your future.
Don't guess, get advice. Visit CooleyLabus.com today.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Good morning to you. Started talking without the microphone on. It's that kind of morning, Lance. I'm warning you in advance.
Oh, I know. I already had my earphones wrapped up in my Sylvester Pez dispenser, so that took about 3 minutes.
I would like to congratulate you and everyone that just heard that. I'm relatively sure if we were able to do the research, we would find that's the first time in human history that sentence has been said out loud.
It may have been. I felt like that needed to be shared, though, too, because people need to understand what we go through to get ready for 6:05. You're rifling through stuff, getting coffee ready, doing research, and then you go, the last thing that you have to do is get the headset or your earphones set up, and I reach down in there, and they're wrapped up and knotted up on old Sylvester. So I had to get a couple Pez in first, and then I went, all right, I'll deal with this in a second.
Naughty putty tat. Every time. He's a problem every time.
Love that guy.
Yeah, what you're talking about, that is some of the inside baseball, if you will, of broadcasting, because I start prepping for the show the night before. Then I get here well before we go on the air, and I continue putting stuff together and researching things and the like. And when the cameras go live a few minutes before we go on the air and you get to see me, what am I doing every single time?
Rifling through stuff, getting going.
I'm sitting here taking notes, looking at this, like, only 10 minutes left. And so, yeah, it's a never-ending battle.
Yeah, Paul was that way, too. I'd come in and, when I first started working for him, he demanded that I would print everything, and we'd get in these great debates about the value of printing. And I'm like, dude, it's already over. Some of the way the news cycle works, some of this stuff you're printing, you're just slinging it. It breaks. People don't get to see it. But, I mean, there'd be 200 papers within that first hour. He's just junking because they're no good anymore. He's just throwing stuff everywhere, and we're talking like we're talking right now. And he'd say, hey, go print this. I'm like, I'm not printing this stuff. You're like my dad, man. I go back to his office, and it's this coffer of just stuff stacked up. I could go pull a page, and it'd be like 1996. You have no idea how much paper there is. So he eventually came around to my way of thinking. And but, yeah, it's always fun to add to what you've prepared for, right? You get here.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Oh, there's more stuff going on. Always.
Well, never have enough. And, Paul was famous for his stack.
Oh, goodness,
his giant stack of stuff, and with good reason. If you wanted to know what was going on anywhere on planet Earth on any given day, just thumb through that stack. He had everything. Yeah. And he probably, I would say maybe 10% of what he had actually made it on the air.
Oh, no, he would always, that's what, the first day we had a conversation, that was what he told me. He goes, you got to prepare for 3 hours by doing 9 hours worth of research, basically, and I was like, good Lord. So, but it was a learning curve there right out of the gate, because the rapidity in which you cover stuff, and you never know what is going to actually be newsworthy. By the time you get to it, it could be old. And so, yeah, there's, 3 or 4 more hours worth of content you and I both have. We could sit here for 9 hours today and talk, I'm sure.
Well, especially when you consider if you're tracking things and keeping up with it as the day progresses throughout the morning, you're going to have that much more that happens in the next few hours. That's right. What the news cycle has become now.
Right, as the rooster crows, the world gets crunk, doesn't it? And things start happening.
We're going to have to get a second trophy made. That sentence also has never before been said out loud in human history.
But Richard loves it when I say crunk. He goes, "Is that a real word?" I don't care if it is. I use it all the time, though, as if it were. It's like fixing to and round to it. And those aren't words, but we use
it. Makes it sound like you're going to, at any moment, drop some fat beat.
Exactly. Yeah, you never know. I may throw in some beats this morning.
That would not surprise me at this point. I've heard everything out of you this week from the Bonanza theme on up.
I'm going to play Bonanza. And you had Porky Pig, Blue Christmas yesterday.
That's a classic.
Yeah, that's a spiral touchdown right there, from about the 30 or 40 out. That's how you start Christmas in my mind. Now, Darlene Love, and there's some other great ones, no doubt. But, nostalgia. For nostalgia's sake, Porky is always first on the list to me.
You gotta love him. You mentioned tight spirals. Congratulations to the Brookhaven Panthers.
Man, what a game too! We were laughing before we came on air. I was kind of scrambling a little bit, and I got hung up at the house listening and watching the replay. Caleb Hamill was in the middle of that with Wimberly, and I'm trying to remember the other guy's name, but they did a great job on the call. You had Calhoun City win in the early game, 14-8. And that Simmons team, wow, what a team they have had for years. And Calhoun City coming in the 1A and winning that when they were 13-1. Simmons had not lost a game yet. They were 12-0. So, the 12-0 goes down. And you had the same thing happen with West Point a little bit later. But congratulations to Calhoun City. What a great win. They were 4-0 in their region 1A, Region 6, and went 12-1 to cap it off with a 1A title. And that was a huge one there. But, you can't bury the lead too much here. You had West Point with an opportunity at a three-peat. Hartfield had that opportunity earlier in the season with the MAIS. Jackson Academy, a very well-coached and super talented team, took the championship there and did not give the Hawks their third in a row. Had an opportunity for West Point. I think it's 21 or 22 in a row they had won games, won the last two state titles in their division. They go up against an Old Brook team here, though, that was fabulously talented. Quarterback, running back, I think the right tackle just pancaked guys all night long, and the defense was lights out. The West Point team gets out to a 12-0 lead, and then back to about, I think it's roughly 19-12 at half. Brookhaven in that third quarter, though, absolutely dominated, and ended up being 31-19. Nothing else happened after the third quarter. But, wow, what a wild one it was. And Brookhaven, congratulations, man. That's how you do it. You do it in style if you're going to do it. You got to beat the best. And West Point has been the best for up till this point. No one has handled them very well.
Well, Brookhaven has been a buzzsaw all year long.
And they've been building, too. That's the thing. When I first started doing the high school football show a few years ago, they were pretty bad. They were having a rough run, and each season they've just built and built, and you love seeing that crescendo where you get to the pinnacle, you cash it in against the best, and you give a West Point team that hadn't lost any games in quite some time a run for their money. And literally, West Point had not given up 31 points. I don't know if they've done that in 3 years. So what a run by Brookhaven, though. Congratulations, and a heck of a season, too. You get to the playoffs, you forget what you had to go through to get there sometimes because that's really the fun stuff. But Brookhaven went 12-2. I mean, that's one heck of a season. You got to think of the losses they had, too. One was to your boys, Macomb, 18-16. 2-point loss there. And then the next week, they lose to my Northwest Rankin Cougars 28-20. That's all, though. That's all that happened. 2 in a row right there after a big overtime win against Madison Central the week before, 20-17. But after that, that's all she wrote. Nobody even came close to them. And like you said, they were a buzzsaw. Absolutely.
Now, you have to realize, too, one of those two losses for Brookhaven to Macomb made it deep into the playoffs as well. Another excellent team this year. But that's one of those games kind of like the Egg Bowl. It doesn't matter what the records are. It doesn't matter what kind of year the two teams have had. Yeah. It's a very fiery rivalry, and it's anybody's ball game every time they get together.
That's neighborhood football right there.
Yes.
These kids grew up together or grew up against each other playing pee-wee baseball, football, soccer, everything, going to church and, probably dating the same girls sometimes. And it's too close for comfort for it to be one of those types of games that goes off without a little bit of fireworking. But, I mean, again, Northwest Rankin had a good season, too, and Macomb had a great – so that Brookhaven team really went through a gauntlet. And late in the season, too, as they played so well that you could see the snowball rolling downhill.
You know, if you want to cut back on the number of fights on your own sideline, you don't open the conversation up about who's dating who, because that's never going to end well.
No. Well, growing up in the Jackson area, that was kind of problematic because you had friends at Brandon and Pearl and Prep and JA and everywhere, Clinton. So you all kind of knew each other pretty well. So it always added some flavor to any of those games you played, whether it was baseball or football. So the Metro was always fun like that. We had friends all over, Jim Hill and everywhere. So every game was kind of like a neighborhood game. You know, it was always, who do we got? Oh goodness, we got to play these guys. Knew it was going to be tough.
Man, you know, usually the more you like them, the worse you talk about them. But once you get on the field, you're just talking bad about everybody.
Yeah, well, we were the new guys on the block at Northwest Rankin, so we tried not to talk bad and give any bulletin board material.
Stay quiet, man.
Yeah, we did that in baseball, yeah.
Stay cool. Maybe they won't notice.
Yeah,
Be quiet.
We'll come in and sneak one, right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're getting it underway. We're getting it in gear for whatever value of gear we have this morning. It's that kind of day, I'm telling you. And we will do it in earnest when we return here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
On with the show.
Is back.
Holy smokes.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net is where you go for more information about that and what they can do for you. Weather-wise, is that a fair comment, you think, Lance?
It's
just
a mixed bag a little bit. It just depends on where you live. But if you're in, let's say, the Delta, and you're out hunting and you've got duck season in front of you here on the 6th, it opens back up, you know, and everybody's going to be ready. Well, today you got mostly cloudy and it's around 46 north winds. And I know the wind makes a big difference here, so that's 5 miles an hour. So not a whole lot. It's going to be dying down today. So if you're out prepping today, you know, you don't have too much to worry about. Tonight, 35, light wind. Tomorrow, though, is going to be a little cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny as the morning burns off all those clouds, and it'll be up to about 54. So not too cold tomorrow, not too much wind either. So it'll be one of those still days on the duck blind. You may want to go deer hunting tomorrow morning, but the ducks will have been sitting, so they may need to be rustled up a little bit. Get out there and mess with them. But Sunday night, 43 light wind, and then let's see. That's Sunday, and then Sunday night, a 20% chance of showers rolling in the Delta, but it doesn't look to last very long because as Monday it all burns off, and you've got a 48 for Monday. So that's your kind of outlook if you're over duck hunting in the Delta, and you're deciding whether you want to deer hunt or duck hunt. A little closer to the north, up there in Corinth, Mississippi, it's going to be fairly beautiful, almost the same exact type of forecast, though. Sunday night, a little bit of a chance of showers, about 20%. It may linger into early Monday morning, probably not, though, and the temps are going to be roughly right at the same. So nothing much changes between the Delta into the northeast corner of the state. But Diamond Head, Mississippi, and the coast, you got a chance of showers and thunderstorms today. It'll be mostly cloudy, around 56 degrees, about 10-mile-an-hour north wind, and a chance of the wet stuff is going to be 50%. So just flip a coin there. You may get about a tenth of an inch. A little bit more maybe in one of those thunderstorms. Showers likely tonight again after 5 a.m. So really early in the morning, obviously. And so 47, nothing to worry about with the plants, about a 60% chance of rain. And then tomorrow, showers, high near 80, and an 80% chance. So the weekend on the coast is looking a little bit more damp. And as you get to Monday, though, it looks to be clearing up nicely as Sunday night, about a 20% chance of showers. And then to Monday morning, it'll be up to about 60 degrees Monday. So the coast is looking pretty good as you start the week, but definitely it's going to be a little damp and not too terribly warm this weekend. And then if we look at Meridian, the east side of the state, it's almost identical, except tonight you have a little less chance of rain in the east, a little bit more like sprinkles. So if you're going out, you might want to put a little something over your head. But Saturday night, 20% chance of showers. It grows a little bit. And then Sunday, another 20% chance of showers. So through the weekend, the east and south part of the state likely going to see rain. The west side and the north is going to be beautiful. So that's kind of where it depends on where you are. It's not one of those copy and paste weekends, though.
You triggered a memory for me in the middle of that.
Oh, good.
Because
I love nostalgia.
back in my day, when I was a kid, my mom and every other woman on planet Earth had the big, super fancy, fixed bouffant hairdo kind of
That's right.
thing.
Yeah.
And when it was raining, they had that little, it looked like thick saran wrap plastic bonnet thing that they would put on and tie under their chin in a bow to protect that hairdo that they had spent so much time on. And for some reason, when you said you might want to put a little something on your head,
That's the vision I had.
that's what popped in my head.
Good. Well, I was thinking that. That's exactly what I was thinking was that, you know, for some reason I watched a few minutes of what was it, It's a Wonderful Life the other day or something, and it just jogs memories. And I was thinking, you know, if you're going out and you've been to the parlor, you might want to have the hair covered up because it will be, you know, the misty stuff is what really gets you there with the hair. It's not the pouring down rain. You know, you got the umbrella for that, and you might need something though, like that little cellophane covering.
Does anyone have the old style hair dryers where it had the whole big, you know, beauty salon style, except for the home, where it had the whole big giant plastic hood that they just pulled down over their hair and sat there,
right? They had
reading a magazine.
Those probably were with the price of a new car back then too.
Yeah.
But you had to have it. You had to have that.
Well, the price of a new car as it was then,
right? Well,
not
it was like
now.
$5,000.
Yeah.
That was. But if you compare, you probably had to put up like $5,000. It was like one of those big satellites that you would see in people's yards. I mean, you could get everything. I don't even know if there was a fee a month, but you had to come up with like $5,000 to have the satellite. And I loved going over to friends' houses that had the satellite because you could see all kind of stuff that you didn't even know existed on television. But what happened to that? Does that still exist? Does the old satellite dish, does people still have those in their yards and they still work? And if so, it's not like a streaming service. It was just you were piping into all these satellites and stuff. You had a code for whatever you wanted. If I remember, like HBO was this, and you would go to it. And
I don't think so, but I guess it could. I'm sure
curious.
some smart boy somewhere has hacked it.
Well, there was something we saw the other day that Richard had mentioned called a super box, and that's what Super Box S7 Max. That's what made me think of that because it's apparently a device that you can buy for anywhere from about $250 to $300, give or take. And once you hook it in, and you can buy it at like Walmart. So even though it's sold that way, the disclaimer is we don't know if this is legal or not, but it allows you to basically get all the streaming platforms for nothing other than what you've paid for the box. There is no monthly fee from best I can tell. And it sounds to me similar to the old satellite where you just had the device and you could hack into anything if you want to use the word hack.
Well, you, I think should probably file that one under the old advice. If it sounds too good to be true,
we had listeners that be like, "Yeah, I've had one of these for 2 years and it works great." And
really,
yeah, that's my point. Is it's a legitimate deal. Superbox S7 Max. I'm curious if anyone has gone out and bought one since we talked about it a week or so ago, because there were quite a few that were like, "What is this again?" And then had a few that had mentioned they had used it. So I'm curious.
Well, and that's been part of the problem because everybody got away from cable packages because they were paying for a bunch of channels they never watched.
$1 bazillion for nothing.
Now we're paying a total of more money a month for several different streaming services, most of which have a whole lot of content we never want to watch. So nothing changes.
I love on King of the Hill where the new season, Bill hadn't been out of the house in like 4 years. And so Hank says, well, what have you been doing? He said, well, I've been watching Netflix. I finished it. And when you get to the end of it, they get you a wellness check. I think that's what it would take to get through Netflix, though, if you think about it.
Yeah, but they're making a ton of money. I don't know if you saw late yesterday.
Crushing it. But it's so much content's my point. You couldn't go through that in a lifetime.
Late yesterday, it was announced that Netflix had won the bidding war to enter into talks for an exclusive agreement to buy Warner Brothers.
Wow. Yeah. You know you're rolling if you can buy Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Like Bugs Bunny back in the day.
Yes, and all the DC Comics heroes and everything on HBO Max, one of the streaming competitors, which could cause a problem for the deal because antitrust, so forth, so on. Yeah, they were up against Paramount. They were up against big people. Netflix outbid them, and the bid is in, and I quote here, mostly cash.
Yeah, it's like how they pay Musk these days. They just back up a Brinks truck and unload the gold.
Yeah, got a team of 12 people just shoveling gold doubloons out the back. Yeah. So, yeah, the streaming is doing just fine.
Streaming is doing fine. There's so much content as well, and I'm still a fan.
Too much.
I like the old stuff, honestly. I still catch myself watching way more. I went back and watched what all I could find of Police Squad, which there's basically 6 episodes, and there's just 10 or 12, maybe 15-minute clips that have been pulled from it. It's hard to find, but I'm going to buy that for myself for Christmas as the set. It's only one season, but it sets up everything that Nilsson does after that, and it's just, to me, Police Squad, the old sitcom, it's great. It's as good as anything out there to me. And if you haven't seen it, it's just like I'd never seen all of them in the entirety. I've seen little 1 and 2 minute clips, but I found where you could get like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and I just blew me away. Like
no, it's great
genius
stuff.
In it.
I remember when that was on television to begin with and watched it as it came out, and then it ended, and I'm like, you people are stupid. Why did you stop this?
Why did you stop? Exactly.
It's beautiful. It's a work of art.
Oh, I absolutely. I think so. It's a work of art. Perfect way of putting that.
Well, we have axe murdered another segment. 2.5 hours to go. I'm telling you.
We're doing 9 hours today, I thought.
No, it's just going to feel like it. We will continue on mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi on a somewhat messy Friday morning for a lot of folks. Drive carefully. People aren't driving that hot on dry, sunny days. Let's take a little more care today because, yeah, reasons. That's why. We continue after this.
From the Seabrook
Mississippi. Super Talk Mississippi.
There we go. Now we're cooking.
One of my favorite songs, man. Love it.
Welcome back to Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. We were talking about prepping, and then, all of a sudden, other things happen. If you try to go to one of your favorite websites this morning and it's having trouble, it's not you. Cloudflare went down again.
Yep.
If you remember a few weeks ago.
That was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it went down and messed up the world. This morning, X, LinkedIn, Canva, looking at some of the other things, Venmo still having some problems, Delta Airlines, Craigslist.
Oh, great, Delta, with everybody flying out on a Friday to go do stuff. That'll be great.
Yeah, it's
wonderful.
Perfect timing. This is indicative, and this ties back to the Netflix Warner Brothers thing. As consolidation continues, results get worse, not better.
Yes.
The old expression, don't put all of your eggs in one basket, applies here 100%, because a large majority of the internet uses Cloudflare. Mm-hmm. So you have a single point of failure at that point. If Cloudflare goes down, everything goes down.
That's one of the arguments I have against crypto, and Richard loves messing with me. I'm not an anti-crypto person, but at some point, don't you need to hedge your bets a little bit, right? I mean, at some point, you go, well, what if the power goes out? Well, how are you gonna? What are you gonna do? I mean, you say, well, I mean, you're not gonna be able to buy anything with cash. I disagree. So I guess my point is, I'm much more of a diversified person. I'm like you. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. It makes me very nervous.
Same thing applies to the stock market. Mm-hmm. If you've got all your eggs in that basket and it goes south, where are you at?
Well, the old I loved the commercial when I was a kid, and I was probably 8 or 9, and this old dude, I'm trying to remember his name, would come on, and he goes, "And it's Smith Barney. We make money the old-fashioned way. We earn it." And I was like, what does that mean? And as I got old, obviously worked in the industry for a long time, but I always found that a fascinating way of putting it, right?
Yeah. But, I'm just waiting to see, because we've been following a bit of a 100-year cycle. It was 100 years between the two pandemics. Yes. By the way, they're instituting mask mandates in the country of Spain right now.
Oh, that's where the Spanish flu originated.
Yeah, because of the flu. So technically, I guess it would be a Spanish flu. It's not the Spanish flu that was so famous, but still, they are implementing mask mandates over there right now. But we followed that cycle. Coming up in 3 years will be the 100th anniversary of what? Stock market wise? Yeah.
There's all kind of interesting things actually did happen on this day. It's funny, you have certain days where nothing happened.
Yeah.
And you have certain days where lots of stuff happened. This was one that kind of got me. Witchcraft condemned by Pope Innocent VIII. That was in 1484. It's like, what? It took you that long to figure out that witchcraft was not something that was congruent with your belief system. But he had a papal bull he put out in 1484 and subsequently dispatched inquisitors. That's always a good word to use.
Oh, yeah.
I love the inquisitor word. And he sends them to Germany to try witches, and persecuted a chief exponent of the Renaissance Platonism, Giovanni Pico della Mirandola. But I found that to be an interesting one. Like 1484, it took a long time for them to go, witches is bad.
Yeah, he sent some inquisitors from Spain, and no one expected them.
Yeah, exactly. The old Spanish Inquisition was a rough one.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. I would like to say on a side note, this is no statement for or against him, but if you choose that you want everybody to call you by the name Innocent, that's a little on the nose, isn't it?
When you employ inquisitors to try and burn witches and your name is Innocent, and not only Innocent the first, he's Innocent the eighth.
Yes.
Right, there's 8 of these innocent guys, right?
Yeah, 7 other guys said, call me Innocent.
Yeah, don't blame me.
My name is Dave. Nice to meet you, but you can call me Great Guy.
Right. With George Washington, and the anti-George Washington is basically what you're dealing with there, because he was he was honest. Yeah, I chopped that cherry tree down. Well, you had this day a pretty big thing happened. Walt Disney, born on December 5th, he died on December 15th in 1966. Made it only to 65, but what a power-packed life of creation and art. And I know that there's always those that will say, well, Walt Disney was a this and Walt Disney was a that. But what a visionary to build what he created, not only in the cartoon world, but the world of Disney. To me, that's one of the greatest creations, I guess, in the entertainment world. We have pro sports and all that, but where else have people from all over the world gone just to go to a theme park?
Yeah,
I mean, it's amazing.
Stand for hours
and spend untold amount of money and it's in the middle of a swamp. It's hot, but it's an amazing creation. A visionary like Walt Disney does not come around very often. I would have to think that Elon Musk may be the closest thing that we have in this time to a visionary like him because of the diversity of his talents, potentially, not because of the artistry or anything.
Yeah, but that is a great point. There's a lot of people in history you could compare Elon to, but as is always the case, you talked about people saying Disney was this, Disney was that. When you have people that come along, those once every few generation superstar talents, and we all know their name forever. Disney, Einstein, Tesla, Musk is going to be in that category, I have no doubt. They are not loved.
No.
They are not beloved in any way, shape, form, or fashion because they expose the inadequacies of the average person to themselves. Well, he's doing this. You say there's nothing special about him. Why haven't you? And then the argument starts. So they wind up just redirecting all the hate in those directions instead. We always try to tear down the ones that are dragging us forward into progress in one area or another. It's always been that way.
Makes great sense. We have a problem with change at times. So think of this.
Also, water is slightly damp.
Hey, think of this. The guy, Walt Disney, holds the record for most Academy Awards earned by an individual. Think of this and put this into perspective. He won 22 Oscars. He was nominated 59 times. Now, that's a record worth mentioning. Also holds 2 Golden Globe Special Achievement Awards. I don't know how long they were around during his time, and an Emmy. So won a little bit of everything there. Also, the late politician Strom Thurmond, I believe he passed away on this day, along with President Martin Van Buren. It's his birthday. Let's see if there's any other good ones up there. Nick Stahl, Terminator 3, and Carnival, he's 46 years old. Frankie Muniz, a name probably hadn't heard in a while, but that was Malcolm in the Middle. Pretty big deal back in the day.
Have you heard the story of Frankie Muniz?
I don't think so. I mean, I know that there's been some things around, but I don't really know. I know Dancing with the Stars also, yeah.
Well, 2 things there. Number 1, he went on and he's now a race car driver.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what he's up to then.
And has won some races. I mean, it's not just a celebrity, Make-A-Wish kind of thing. He's actually winning races.
Make-A-Wish.
But the thing is, he's done interviews. He says he doesn't remember a single day of being in Malcolm in the Middle. Really? He doesn't remember doing that.
Check. Dude's got some early onset, maybe. We need to check him out.
Dude, that bought your house. I'm pretty sure I'd remember that forever.
I definitely remember. That was iconic, too. That was a huge deal. Well, I love this one. In 2006, Fijian military leader Frank Bainimarama became the acting president of the island country following a coup. Now think of that, a coup in Fiji. Like, what were they in, swim trunks and windsurfing?
Man, I got an idea, man.
Hey, dude, put on some swim trunks. Let's windsurf in and take over this place, man.
Surf's down today. What are we gonna do? I got an idea.
The shrimp's on the grill, man. We'll be back in a minute. I mean, really, I as much as I know about Fiji, I did not know that in 2006 there was a military coup.
I didn't either.
I thought that was a place you just went to hang out and see people in, like the Mutiny on the Bounty, the movie. That was one of my favorites because that was one that there was like nudity.
So you're a man of refined taste.
It's like, how long is it going to take him to get to Fiji with that breadfruit? That's all I'm interested in. Anthony Hopkins throwing a fit the whole time. I'm like, no, man, y'all going to get to Fiji. Seen that movie 100 times because of that.
As we continue to class the joint up this morning.
Of course. Yeah, I didn't care what happened after Fiji, getting to Pitcairn Island and they had to live on. I don't care about all that. And I didn't care about the breadfruit. And I just wanted the Fiji part. That's what really struck me this morning is this old grandfather here that I'm looking at holding fried shrimp. He was a military leader that took over the country in a political coup. It's like, wow, okay.
Well,
not like Hamas doing it, huh?
You might have the opportunity to just buy Fiji if your Powerball numbers hit tonight.
Oh, it might tip over. Might tip over.
Yeah. Well, you just can't bring too many people with you. Old Representative Hank. Dingbat. When we come back, we will have your chance to win. Well, details about it anyway, with the Mississippi Lottery Corporation next on Mornings. Keep it here.
Spreads his wings. Oh, Lord, yeah.
from the Venable
with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
We got to quit having those conversations during the breaks, man.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do this now?
We got to share. Got to share with the people.
Only some things,
Yeah,
know?
I think that could make it. There's no cuss words in it or anything.
Yeah, there's no cuss
Too many
words.
kids
but
in the route to the workplace.
yeah,
and
that is
school,
not the time, not the situation. We'll just absorb that later. It's time to look at the fact that you could be a multi-millionaire by Sunday morning. Powerball, up to $820 million. The estimated jackpot, the estimated cash value on that, $383.5 million. Let's say you're like, oh, well, no, it's too big. I've actually had that conversation. People say, well, the jackpot's too big now. I'm never going to win it. Well, you got some issues to work through if that's the way you think, but okay, fine. Go get a Mega Millions ticket. It's $50 million. That drawing, of course, will be tonight. Powerball, tomorrow night, the drawing for that. Lotto America, $8.57 million estimated jackpot. The cash value estimated on that, $4 million. And the Lance Tolbert game, match 5, $130,000. I would not kick $130,000 out of bed.
Oh, no.
It could eat crackers. I wouldn't care.
I think it hit like twice in a week, too. So, yeah it's catching up now.
Yeah, it's very active. I was very perceptive of you when you first pointed out to me that there are a lot of winners in Match 5 just on a regular basis. Also, of course, we've got new December scratch-off games out. I was in the store, what was it? One day, I think it might have been Tuesday. And they were actually putting these out. These are fresh out in the stores, these three. Quick Sevens, that's a $1 scratch off that could win you $7,000. You give me $1, I'll give you $7,000, and you're going to say, I don't know about that. Right. Winners galore, a new $2 ticket. The jackpot on that one, $25,000. There are smaller prizes, of course, scattered about, but come on. And a new $5 ticket called Double the Money. And that's literally what it is. It's a $5 ticket. The prizes start at $10. That's the lowest prize on there. So, if you win, the worst you can do is double your money. That's why they named it Double Your Money. You do have a point. The people that name these games really know their business, don't they?
They do a great job in the marketing world. Yeah, it blows you away. As they keep it fresh, I always come up with some good names for the games, too.
Yeah, up to $100,000, the jackpot, the ultimate jackpot on that scratch-off. And I would recommend going to your favorite location. I know a lot of them do this. There's one in particular down here in Southwest Mississippi that does it that I go to every so often. When they sell a winner, they get a certificate kind of thing from Mississippi Lottery, and they put them up just in a line over the checkout stand in this store, and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
When you go into a place
that has those, it's amazing how many people win.
Yes. $1,000, $5,000. They had one up the other day, brand new one. Somebody had bought a $100,000 winning scratch-off ticket at this store in Pike County. So there are winners all the time. You really, really want to think about it. You want to think about investing in a ticket with the Mississippi Lottery, because that's going to definitely help your chances to win if you go and buy a ticket. And I would suggest, me personally, I can tell you what I'm going to be doing here, okay? I will also throw a couple of bucks toward a Powerball ticket because, yeah, it's a big jackpot, but you never know, do you?
I was so disappointed when the last one hit. I knew I was going to win it, and I didn't. I was so disheartened.
Look,
but you got to keep trying, right? You got to.
I actually took that as a happy thing because we had a $1 billion plus jackpot won, and it wasn't by someone in California. So it was a good week.
I agree.
It wasn't here, but at least it wasn't there. Everybody wants it to be them. But that's not the same number of people that actually go and buy their tickets and take their chances. So go visit your lottery retailer today, Mississippi Lottery. You'll find it everywhere. If you're looking for a retailer, you're not looking very hard, but you can go to mslottery.com. They'll tell you who your local retailers are. You can go check it out and have a chance to win and win big. Coming up, we've got news from Fox News, SuperTalk, Mississippi News, and then hour number 2 of Mornings. Shuwaski Young will be joining us next hour. In the second segment, we'll be talking to him. He wrote a really good op-ed. We're going to talk about that next hour on this Friday morning, sneaking up on Christmas. Done your shopping? Me either. We'll continue after this. Keep it here.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Let's go. Waking up the Magnolia State. Mornings with Richard Cross.
That's what it's here for.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk, Mississippi on a Friday. Dave Hughes here. Richard, of course, off gallivanting on Fridays. He's actually busier on Friday than any day of the week, which is why I'm here. But that's okay. That gives me and Lance a chance to hang out and trade horrible jokes off air.
I don't think they're bad. I mean, me personally, I think they're of comedic quality.
Oh, yeah. The comedic quality is there. The content, probably not into the mic. I'm just saying. Of course, Mornings is presented by Community Bank. They're more than just a place to manage your money. They're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors for decades. They've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your very first savings account, usually with money grandma gave you. That's the way that worked, right? Planning for a brighter future or growing your business. They're here for you every step of the way, dedicated to their customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC.
Hey, one thing, too, they're also there for you when you need to get into that savings account.
Yes.
They'll be there for you for that, too. Not just opening it, but when you got to get into it.
You got to go back in there because, they got
to buy a car or something, right?
They got that Lego set that you really want on sale for Christmas.
Always look at my 401k that way. What can I steal from it?
At your Lego fund. Yeah, okay.
What can I steal from that this time?
I like that.
I don't do it, but I always look at it here and there and go, yeah, I could take that, but I'd have to work till I'm 150. Nah, I may leave it.
Speaking of money and stealing, boy, did you set this up perfectly. We are in the season of scammers. It's year-round now, but every year during the holiday season, it picks up a notch. I've seen the usual warnings being put out by law enforcement officials about, everything from calling and telling you that there's a warrant out for your arrest for failure to appear for jury duty. But if you go get some Target cards and give me the number, it'll go away. And people fall for that because of fear. That's the trigger they're hitting. Pike County Sheriff's Office, number one, pointed out this week that they are experiencing or noticing a rash of burglaries, specifically of Ford F-150 pickup trucks.
Yeah, most popular one.
Yeah, I that was my first question. Is that a pattern, or is it just, the fact that every third vehicle is a F-150, I think. But warning the people that have F-150s. They also put out another notice: if you're selling a high dollar item like a car, an ATV, anything. This one stunned me, Lance. It's great advice, but it stunned me. Said, please use caution when accepting checks from individuals you do not know.
Oh, yeah.
Let's stop the conversation on that for just a second here. Number one, who writes checks anymore? When's the last time you wrote a physical paper check?
Well, my butler writes them for me all the time.
Oh,
but
okay,
I don't write checks.
Jeeves!
I don't even know where my checkbook is, honestly.
We have a bank account that's been open for like 9 years. We still haven't made it a quarter of a way through the first book of checks we got when we opened it. You don't do that anymore. So people are showing up to buy things that are for sale on Facebook Marketplace, apparently, because this warning just wasn't put out at random, and showing up with a check, and even worse, it's not even their check. It's a check that it's got somebody else's name on it, and saying, here. And they're advising, don't, let them actually have the stuff until the check clears. I go one step further. There's an ATM right up the block. I'll be here.
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't be taking a check from a person.
No.
If somebody wrote me a business check or something, I'm going to cash it as quickly as possible, but I would not accept a personal check for anything.
Well, and I'm sorry. In this case, they're talking specifically about third-person checks
for large ticket items as well.
Yeah. Lance comes to buy that Lego set from me, and he gives me one of Rhino's checks. No. No, it is not going to work that way. But this time of year, people fall for things, and it goes back to a phrase I used last hour. If it seems too good to be true,
it probably is.
It is.
The greatest story, I think, in the last maybe 3 weeks was all the raids going on in Myanmar, cracking down on all the scammers and all that. I mean, the number is staggering. There's thousands of people, a lot of them Chinese that have come over there, and those are the types of centers that really are the ones on top of. If you're getting a bunch of junk and calls and texts and stuff through your social media, that's these folks. A lot of times they're really good at it. Don't buy into any of it. And if you're ordering off of things like Temu and all that, just be careful. I mean, true. I know that people do it all the time, but with all of the scammers this time of year, just be really careful.
Well, and just not even this time of year in general. It's just all compounding and piling up into one steaming, stinking pile of garbage, all of these scams. One of the big ones going around right now is they will prey on you if you don't know anything about crypto, if you don't know anything about that, but you see all of the news breaking multiple times a day, every day. They're changing this, they're doing that, this is happening. Well, one of the scams is they're getting a hold of people, usually through some sort of social media private messaging system, and saying, hey, you got to go get all your money out of the bank and put it into XRP coins because they're swapping over to XRP in the United States. Your dollars won't be worth anything anymore. And of course, the way that works is you go, oh my goodness, I don't want to lose my money. Jeeves, warm up the limo. And you go do that, and then they direct you. They'll send you a link and say, go here and use that money and buy this. And that way you'll be safe. You're buying it for their account.
I had a young client after I'd been out of the business for a little while, had gotten in touch with me a few years later and said, hey, I think I did something kind of impulsive and stupid. And I said, well, what was it? And she said, I took $10,000. I mean, very young, in the early 20s, probably everything she had saved, and had put it into crypto through one of these types of entities that you put it into a wallet and all these different, places and all the security and all that. Well, when it comes time for you to get your money out, you can't do that. And you got to put more in and more and more and more. Mm-hmm. And she had been hit 3 or 4 times with that and really was just like, okay, I think I've been scammed, and got in touch with me, and we went through it. And what I learned in that instance, and this was a decade ago, not quite, it's probably been 6-7 years. And what I learned in that is one of the reasons I'm a little bit leery of crypto and how you hold it, how you go about getting it, and how they sell it. Reputable entities only, a lot of times, is what I would recommend. But that's not what's going on out there. People use whatever is their way, and I would just say be careful. My experience is there's a lot of people in that world, as you were just mentioning, that have this great sales pitch. How you need to give them your money. And that's what you're doing. You're giving them your money.
They know every button to push, every lever to pull to get you to do something. And it's almost always driven by strong emotion, usually fear. 100%. The warrant thing. There's a warrant for your arrest. And, if you give me some Target gift cards, it'll be okay. What?
And the other was the knowledge that, and I had to deal with this entity, and after spending 16 years in finance, I'm pretty intelligent when it comes to how things work. And the way that this individual for this company talked to me as if I was an idiot.
Yes.
And using that as a tool. It was obviously part of script. If you run across somebody that thinks they know how this works, then you have to confuse it even more and more and more. So if it's not simple, and if it's not straightforward, and if it's not protected, it ain't real, folks.
Well, and the reason why they do that, it's a psychological trigger. It's basically reverse projection. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the things you learn in broadcasting early on. If you talk to somebody like they're an old friend, even if you've never met them before, inside their head, there's only one group of people that talks to them that way, and that's their good friends and family, and they subconsciously put you in that box.
See, I'm always skeptical because my good friends and family never talk nice to me. So I'm always distrustful. No, I'm playing.
There's an exception to every rule, and Lance is it this morning. So just watch yourself. Take all your valuables out of the car. We're not swapping the money. George Strait does not want to marry you, nor does George Clooney. Nobody named George wants to marry you. Good rule there. When we come back, Shuwaski Young is going to join us. Wrote an interesting op-ed, and I want to talk to him about it, involving Dick Cheney. We'll do that next here on Mornings on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
What is it? What's going on? Mornings with Richard Cross.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, Super Talk Mississippi Mornings on a Friday morning, and we're welcoming in Shuwaski Young with the Miami Vice theme. I'm not sure what that means, Shuwaski. You'll have to check with Lance later, but that's your theme song this morning. How you doing today?
Hey, man, Lance is a great guy. I'll trust him on the music. Dave, I'm doing really good this morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to Mississippi. And I hope you all are getting ready for a great Christmas holiday.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need one.
I'm interjecting here just so we are clear. No. It's because that's how cool he is, man. He's Miami Vice cool. I had to lead him in.
Which immediately raises the question in my mind, is he wearing socks? But we're not going to check on that because, Don Johnson never wore socks. Neither Crockett nor Tubbs. They had the fancy suits and everything. Boy, we've gotten way off topic already. Thanks for that, Lance. We appreciate it. I was reading your op-ed that you wrote that was in the Clarion Ledger about Probably, I think, a very controversial figure in politics. I think that's fairly safe to say. Dick Cheney, who just passed away, long distinguished political career. And I want to give you a second. I've got a question, but I want to give you a second to just talk about it for a minute. What you talked about. You said Dick Cheney was really kind of an inspiration for you.
Right. Well, I grew up in Noxapater, Mississippi, and also Stello. And my dad, worked for the federal government, USDA, and my grandfather was a World War II vet. I started out in public service at the Secretary of State's office and worked under a great guy called Larry McMillan, who was a retired major and Army Ranger. And, I had some great mentors and great folks who were public servants as inspirational and veterans to me my entire life. The Bush and Cheney administration, was one of which that first introduced me into a lot of the politics of Reaganism early on in my life. And Dick Cheney was someone who I really, thought was a great public servant, a patriot, someone who was well prepared, someone who was known for their steadfastness in government, and someone who also had a lot of personal life challenges that, required a lot of humility, which we need in public service. So when he passed away, I was saddened by that and just thought that I would, write about it and talk about why, I thought that particular time in history, his particular life and example was something that, I wanted to remember and, be reminded of. And that's why I became a Republican and why, those policies of impersonal belief systems brought me to where I am today. Amongst other folks as well.
And, it leads right into a question we were having earlier, and we're going to apply it to former Vice President Dick Cheney here. Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's possible to be an effective leader without upsetting somebody?
No, I do not. I think if you're going to be an effective leader and lead with conscience and lead with confidence, and lead with preparedness and seriousness, there are going to be some people in the room that are going to disagree with you. There are going to be some people in the echo chamber that are going to disagree with you. And, I think that's a very good thing. One of the things I pride myself on, one of the things I think that a lot of effective leaders pride themselves on is putting people in the room who are smarter than they are, who offset their particular weaknesses with their particular strengths. So you want people in the room to question what your decisions are and how you actually arrive at those particular decisions. And you want to be able to entertain, all voices of opposition. So, of course, I think in doing so, you're going to upset some people sometimes.
Well, and I personally, from the outside looking in, and as you know, I keep up with all of the news and politics every day. This era of what I call this era of absolutism that we have, where, you're all 100% in this direction, never looking at anything else, and you're a traitor if you do. Is that really helpful? Because back to the subject, Dick Cheney, in a lot of ways, didn't care what you thought. He was going to do what he thought needed to be done.
Right. Well, I think when you look at somebody who overcame personal challenges, from his time at Yale when he didn't make it through and having to start all over into working on a Donald Rumsfeld, both in Congress and then going on to serve as the youngest chief of staff for a president in history, and all the other accolades that brought him to power and leading the country with President George W. Bush during a time after and during 9/11. Look, you don't get to those particular places without learning a lot and believing in yourself, number one, and trusting in your North Compass. And I think that that's what Dick Cheney involved in his patriotism and his leadership. And I think that also attributes to the amount of humility that he had to actually have as well to earn the respect of his colleagues around him and as well as the respect of the American people in order to keep his country safe during the time after 9/11.
I think you're exactly right there. And it's something that we have lost because we've lost any sense of nuance, I think, at this point politically in America. Normally you don't equate the words nuance with the name Dick Cheney. Those two usually haven't been in the same sentence very often, but there's a reason for that. You have to be a direct leader to get things accomplished. And he say what you want about anything else about him. That applied to him. He knew what he wanted to get done and got it done.
Yes, sir. And in this article, I talk about that. Well, I actually start out by saying, look, he was in fact, a controversial leader. But I didn't focus on the controversy of Dick Cheney during his life, and early on in my own political career and as a political science major at Jackson State University. I focused on his competence. I focused on his seriousness of purpose, and how prepared he was. And the fact that during a time where folks were getting away from Reaganism and getting away from conservative politics, this is someone who stood steadfast in that particular pursuit to make sure that we had limited government, but also a competent government and a government that could be trusted by the American people, and a government that was efficient and effective, and also pushing our free market principles forward as well too. And making sure that while we have limited government, while we have strong free market principles, but also we're keeping the strong national defense and making sure our country is actually safe, and moving those conservative values forward for the American people to follow and protect our pursuit of happiness.
Well, and we've made some great strides in the last year in this regard, but we need to get back more, I think, to that word that you've used several times now, steadfastness. We need to get back to that. We're all over the map, it feels
100%.
like most days.
In a highly political climate that we actually have in our country right now, and also in Mississippi, I think that those people who are running for office have to be focused on what that actual office does and how they can be effective instead of just kind of jumping all over the place and say I'm going to be involved in all these particular things. And, on youngformississippi.com right now, I'm plugging our website, my Secretary of State campaign. We got some great updates in there. We got a great team. We got some great issues out there that people need to take a look at, that are very important for the Secretary of State's office. And that's exactly what I'm doing here, which is moving forward in that spirit of steadfastness, that we're making sure that public safety is a major part of this particular program, that we're making gang members in Mississippi public enemy number one, because I believe that a safe Mississippi is going to be a prosperous Mississippi. And we want to make sure that we increase law enforcement in all 82 counties. And those are the type of things that are going to help business. And those are the type of things that the Secretary of State's office can actually do as well. So that's part of our platform. It's part of what I believe in my political philosophy and vision, not only for myself, but for the state of Mississippi and the Secretary of State's office as well.
Do you think that, and this is the case whether you're talking about sports, you're talking about in the classroom and education, whatever, the most important thing is the fundamentals. Do you think that's what we need to be focusing on right now in terms of crime, in terms of economy? The fundamentals, the basics?
Well, absolutely. These are the things that are going to drive our society forward. These are the things that are going to make sure that the people of Mississippi feel safe and secure in their own communities, whether we're talking about business and crime, or whether we're talking about securing our elections and making sure that we have strict voter ID laws, so we can make sure our elections are only involving people who are American citizens and residents of Mississippi. So that's why I'm for strong voter ID laws. I'm for citizenship requirements in our elections, and I'm also for early voting. But I want to make sure that it's secure. And I want to make sure that we're also making sure that those elections are available to working families here in Mississippi as well, too. So that's part of being steadfast. That's part of making sure we're handling the business and keeping priorities number one. And I think that those are conservative values that are going to make Mississippi continue to be great, and making sure that our families are strong, that we're going on Christian values here in our state. And I think that what we have right now is an opportunity to do that in our state. And I think that the current leadership has been doing a good job of that.
Yeah, well, definitely, and you want to continue that work.
Well, 100%. And, back to the op-ed, I think that those are the things that they have to actually focus on during that particular time. And that's why, having a steady hand at the wheel, somebody who's going to make sure that we're going north, and that we're not getting sidetracked by all issues that aren't going to be important to achieving our goals in our state and also our country.
We've been joined by Shuwaski Cheney. Young. Shuwaski Young. Sorry, honest mistake. That might be the nicest confusion of your identity ever.
It's all right, bro.
Yeah. Shuwaski
Young. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again real soon, okay?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you.
Same to you and yours as well. We continue on Morning.
From the Seabrook.com.
Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Wake up.
Yes, do it.
Wake up.
Come on.
All right.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Wake up.
Look in my eyes. What do you see? The cult of personality.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings. Dave Hughes in the chair, presented by Community Bank. Rooted in our community, communitybank.net is where you go to find out more information on that. Always enjoy talking to Shuwaski Young because he brings a different perspective in some ways. You didn't see a lot of glowing testimonials about Dick Cheney when he passed away because of who he was and how he operated. And that's okay. He did get results. That's hard to argue with. So, yeah, interesting topic, I thought. Another interesting topic, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, what it was going to look like and what the economy was doing, because you may have seen some of the numbers. We're getting kind of mixed signals on the economy. And I'm telling you, I think I have put my finger on what's going on. Mm-hmm. Over the Thanksgiving sale period, which they measure from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday, we set a record for the amount of money spent. Mm-hmm. In what is supposedly a really rough economy. The number of jobs added went down last week. We're seeing things that are telling us, it ain't that hot right now, but sales are going up. How? I'll tell you how. Buy now, pay later.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Put it like this. Klarna, that's one of the leading buy now, pay later services. Mm-hmm. This Thanksgiving period, they were up 45% over last year in the number of people that used it to do their shopping during the holiday weekend. 45%. So when we see these, we're going to have to adjust how we measure the economy and economic forces, I believe, because that is different from having the cash in your pocket and going in and spending it. Mm-hmm. It's just another version of taking out a short-term loan. Everything is being done on credit now. Credit card usage, 42% of people said that's what they did their shopping with was credit cards. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't include buy now, pay later. You add that in, you're over half of all shopping that was done was in some form of loan.
Right. Yeah.
The problem with that, you know what the problem with that is. Those bills come due.
They do, and there's usually a little interest on that, too.
Yes. So
costs you a little bit more.
Then what happens?
That's right.
I'm just saying, we hear all the time about the crypto bubble, this mm-hmm. bubble, that bubble, the AI bubble. I think buy now, pay later is a bubble.
I've said openly, I think we're in a housing, crypto, and AI bubble, and a lot of that's going to depend on credit. A lot of these crypto companies are not profitable. A lot of AI companies are not profitable. And obviously, you're not trying to make money on your house. So you would love for it to go up and appreciate, but most folks aren't trying to jockey it and sell it. Right. I mean, so the fundamentals of buying and selling a home to make money usually don't work out because you got to go buy another home. And again, it's inflated maybe a bit or whatever the market may be. So, but debt is the one that gets you. And it always is. That's the thing that's costing us outrageous amounts in a national setup with our national debt. And it's transferred to you and I. Everyone has to pay that. Government doesn't have an income stream other than you and I. So as you continue to borrow against it, I'm not seeing a historically low savings rate as far as when you look at those things, you go, uh-oh, what's coming?
Yeah.
If you go back to 07, 08 and look at those, you were at historically low savings rates. Now, some of that had to do with, obviously, the 99 dot-com bubble bust, and then you had September 11th, and we were ramping up, spending a lot of money. You had organizational changes and logistics with Homeland Security. But by the time you got to the '08, you were in '07 at a historically low, and you had been for about 3 years in form of personal savings. Mm-hmm. And that led to where we were in the housing crunch crisis, because once things changed and a lot of those, let's say those interest-only loans and the things ratcheted up, people had to get out of their homes because the personal savings rate was so low. They didn't have a safety net. And so I'm not seeing that now. We're about twice to 3 times higher. We're at about a 4.6 now. We were at a 2.0.
Ooh,
and that was going for about 3 years. So, yeah, we were historically in bad times as far as savings rate. We'd never been there before. And a lot of us were looking at that going, that doesn't look right. And then you look at the yield curve, which is the price on bonds, the interest you earn short-term versus long-term. In the 2 to 5 and 7 years, you were getting paid more interest to own a less risky bond than you were to own a 20 and 30 year. So your interest was upside down, and so that's an inverted yield curve. So with a low savings rate and an inverted yield curve, that kind of led you to where we were going. And I don't.
It was never going to turn out well in that situation.
Right. I don't see those conditions right now. Of course, we're having some difficulties in the economy for numerous reasons, but I'm not saying that I see a massive crisis ahead of us, just because I don't think the fundamentals support that right now. But anything can change. It's just I don't see those numbers right now.
I worry that the prevalence of buy now, pay later specifically is inhibiting the societal and cultural adjustment to spending what you have and no more and sticking some in the bank, as you said, instead of mortgaging your immediate future for what you want right now. There's no cost to it at this point. Really?
There's in the correlation on, and I will make this because I think this is psychologically part of what we're dealing with. In 2019, 2020, you saw people's personal savings rate spike upward to a 31.8. Think of where we were.
Wow.
But that's COVID money. There was a lot of money coming in. The government was sending checks, businesses, all that. So a lot of money got stuck in the bank there. And it looks, when you see an increase such as that, anything that goes out the roof, it always corrects the other way. And it comes back, maybe even with more force. So where we are right now, I think, is somewhat of a byproduct of I have all this money, and we blew through it. And that was, according to the charts, we were about out of that money in July of 2022. And since then, we've kind of started climbing back to a respectable level of personal savings. But with you, I agree. The buy now, pay later has some lasting, to me, some trails from the 19 and 20 time, because people had so much money. Now you go out and potentially spend it on the boats and the cars and the second homes, and then you look down a few years later and you go, whoops, I don't have quite the savings I had. So
if buy now, pay later didn't exist, there would have been over $1 billion less dollars worth of purchases made over the Thanksgiving weekend. Which is significant, to put it mildly.
That's just a weekend, right?
I think it's very much masking symptoms that would lead to behavior changes financially for a lot of people. Because we can still go ahead and do the impulse purchases and spend a little bit more than we normally would because, we can make it in 4 easy payments. That's fine. I just think that's hiding some trends in the data that would otherwise be glaringly obvious.
I think you're right. The devil's always in the details. And it's hard to get that kind of detailed analysis as the season is unfolding. Those numbers will start showing you in January.
Trickle down economics. You did.
The psychologically, right.
Yes, the behavioral approach to spending that we hear about all day, every day, 24/7 out of Washington, like you said, it's kind of enabling.
I agree. I've worked in it for a long time, and I feel that that's part of what you deal with. It's like going to a college, and all you hear is socialism and white guilt and these things. What do you think the kid's going to believe when they come out of that class or a year or two later? And it's similar to economics. If people say, yeah, you can afford it, even though you can't, because you can borrow the money to buy it. And if everybody's telling you to do it, hey, you're probably going to do it.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch this play out because, and just go ahead and mark that down in your Dave Told Me So notebook.
I love it.
Turn to a fresh page, put today's date at the top. Dave told you at some point in the next few years, there's going to be a big discussion about economic data as it relates to buy now, pay later programs. That we're going to have to adjust how we look at things, I think, in terms of economic indicators.
I have something for you on the other side then on that.
Oh, even better. Now I've got Lance all stirred up. We continue on mornings on this.
From the Venable Glass Track.
In the car, at home, or at work, it's always free to listen to Super Talk Mississippi and Mornings with Richard Cross.
Woke up this morning with a funny feeling.
Welcome back. Friday morning. It's a nice morning. It's a little cloudy, a little rainy in spots, but you know what? It's still a good morning. You're going to have a good day. We have now a Lance doll limited edition whose string has been pulled. He said he had something on economic indicators for us here, and your time is now, my friend. Go ahead.
Well, I think that the main point is that over time, that how CPI is calculated, which is your inflation mechanism, has changed over time. And so if you go back to, say, the 70s and 80s, you were really using specific items, say, eggs, gasoline, a new car, or groceries. Today, they use different things that sometimes they'll peg it to the same items, but yet there is the ability to shift the basket of goods, the underlying indicators, based on conditions. So during COVID, they pulled travel and transportation out of it more because people were locked at home. And so you don't necessarily see the same basket of goods always used for CPI. They generally have the ability and freedom to kind of move around a little bit based upon what is felt to be the most prevalent indicators of our time. And so that's one thing I wanted to make a point is when we talk about CPI or inflation, it's not always the same basket of goods, but it's similar and it could relate. But the government or, the Bureau of Labor Statistics had the ability to move that around and depending on what may be more important right now, whereas in the past, those were static. You could look at eggs and gas, and they weren't going to move that around and say, well, maybe we're not traveling as much, so let's don't use gas, let's use rents. So what the hope was is that you're getting closer to what the actual inflation numbers really are. And so tying it back to your story and to your point was the buy now, pay later. That is going to be covered in financial services generally within the CPI, but I don't believe that has much to do with borrowing. So again, certain indicators may not be prevalent in what you're looking at because we know that when you borrow more than you have, prices generally go up, right? Okay, so if we're 38 trillion in debt, and most households probably are, you can't just go write a check for your car and your house and college tuition and all that stuff right now. So some of that is not going to be in those calculations. So I would say inflation, although we've seen it come back immensely in the last couple of years, it's still pretty high. It's probably higher than what you're seeing the numbers reported. I would double them anytime you see them. Yeah, just about double. So
I think that's a safe bet. And I would like to point out during COVID, the entire United States economy was supported by the sale of toilet paper.
Yeah,
I'm telling the truth.
It was barter. I remember going into the coffee shop and they had a pyramid of toilet paper. And I was like, wow, man, that's an impressive stash of toilet paper. And they were trading. They would trade toilet paper. People would bring in toilet paper and get a cup of coffee. And once they built a nice pyramid of it, they were like, all right, we'll start charging for coffee again. But It was interesting.
Look, it reached the point where I was afraid I was about to have to go meet some sketchy-looking guy in a trench coat next to the dumpster behind Chuck E. Cheese to get a 12-pack of Charmin. It got bad for a while there.
Well, and that kind of goes back to I'm not an anti-crypto or anything, but you got to be careful. There are times in our past, in recent past, the 99 bubble bust, the 07 to 09, then COVID, every so often you have these moments in time where hopefully you have great leadership that can help navigate through issues, because as debt increases globally, and it's going to continue, I have a feeling you're going to see more chaotic moments like we've seen it's about every 8 years. You're going to see something that will likely go, uh-oh, is the end coming? And chances are no, it's not. But if you're positioned correctly and you're not overburdened with debt and you keep that mindset, then probably won't be hurt. But it's just history suggests we're going to have issues again, and it's probably best not to be up to your eyeballs in debt when that happens.
Was just handed a note to remind me that this is a very good conversation, but I'm still broke. So we,
well, I am too, and that I think is going back to the 401k comment. I always like looking. There's not a whole lot in there. Not nearly enough that I will retire using that. You hope that Social Security is going to be around, and we have all these hopes. And I would definitely plan for a long winter in that regard sometimes. But yeah, I'm not. I'm sure most Americans out there are feeling the same thing a lot of us are out there. It's you work hard, you love what you do, and income sometimes, and I would say guarantee you, they haven't kept up with inflation over the last 4 and 5 years. Hopefully that'll change, but it's definitely a fact.
I'm very early Gen X. Mm-hmm. Our retirement plan in my generation for quite a while now has been, hope they don't dock us half a day if we pass away before lunch.
Yeah.
Because up until the very end, we're going to have to be doing something. That's the way it's going to work out. Coming up, we've got news from Fox News, SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then the final hour of mornings on this Friday morning. Right after this, we'll be joined by Beth Stevens from the Leflore County Chamber of Commerce. They have a ton of stuff going on, and we're going to find out about it next. Keep it here.
Stay social during the show at SuperTalk Mississippi on Facebook. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
You come on soon. True, it ain't true. Linda Lou. Say it ain't true. Linda Lou. I hear you working in a saloon. I hear you work from midnight to noon.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented, of course, by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. If you're looking to manage your personal finances, the banking services at Community Bank make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. If you're ready to grow your business, they offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Well, they've got mortgage specialists there, ready to make the process seamless for you, all designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. I feel like I wanted to go ahead and do that because I feel like we're going to be talking to Beth Stevens for the next 3 hours, because it's going to take that long just to list all the events going on in Leflore County right now. The executive director of the Leflore County Chamber, Beth Stevens. How are you this morning, Beth?
I am great. It is so good to be here with you today.
Well, and I'm not really exaggerating. You guys have a packed schedule starting today, don't you?
We really do. Today, really, in my mind, and I think in a lot of people's minds here in our community, it's the official kickoff to the holiday here in Greenwood. And it all starts today at 4 o'clock with the legendary Roy Martin Delta Band Festival. And
that's been going on for a while. I think this is the 90th annual, isn't it?
This is legendary event here in our community. 90 years this year that we have been celebrating this event, and we have evolved over the years with this event, but it is still going strong, and we are excited about it. It's the state's oldest Christmas parade, so we're pretty proud of that tradition here in Greenwood.
Well, and tradition is important, and some things just age like a fine wine. Every year that goes by, it just seems to get better, and I think that applies to this.
It absolutely does. You know, we have people all over the country who even today reminisce and have memories about, oh, I remember when I marched in the Christmas parade. And that has been going back for 90 years. And we have so many people who have such great memories. And of course, you know, as you tell stories over the years, the stories change a little bit. They get a little bit bigger. They get a little bit grander. But this event has always been grand. And of course, yes, it has changed. It has evolved over the years. But we are still going strong with this event, and we are making memories for our kids, our grandkids, and our great-grandkids. And I just love it when people who remember the days of old and they talk about their memories of the Christmas parade here in Greenwood.
Now, moving forward from there, this is just the start today with the Festival and Christmas Parade. Tomorrow, you've got the Holiday Bazaar. It's literally every day, every weekend from now till Christmas almost, isn't it? Something going on.
There is something for everyone, and you say there's nothing happening in Greenwood, then you do not know what you're talking about, because we have so many things. And I love that you know, we live in a state like Mississippi that has a lot of small communities that just pour into the holidays and really all year long. They just do so many cool and wonderful things for their little communities, and Greenwood is certainly no exception. And, you know, today the parade and the fireworks, tomorrow the Holiday Bazaar, which is a great event down at Old City Hall, starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. We have a lot of artists and crafters and vendors who will be coming and selling all of their handmade items, which is really a neat thing. So that's this weekend, you know, and then, of course, like you said, there's more. There's more coming next week and the week after.
Monday, you've got your singing tree. That's going to happen.
Yes, First Presbyterian Church downtown does the Singing Christmas Tree. That is really a neat event. It's outdoors, so wear your coat. You know, this weather's a little chilly right now, but we love it. That's the thing about Mississippi. It's kind of like Florida. When I used to live there, people say, if you don't like the weather, just wait a few minutes. It will probably change. So, but I love the cold. I think it's not really the holidays unless it's a little chill in the air. So the Singing Christmas Tree is always a great opportunity to get outside and enjoy the holiday weather, as I like to call it.
You know, I'm going to blame you, Beth. You brought up the weather, so now we've got to talk about this for a second.
Yes.
Like with the event today and tomorrow and a lot of these events, what are the plans when and if the weather might impact them somehow?
So, you know, we've been dealing with weather. It's as old as time. And when Roy Martin, who was the band director at Greenwood High School years ago, when he started this Delta Band Festival and Christmas Parade, he asked his wife what would be the perfect day to do this event. And she said, do it the second Friday after Thanksgiving because it never rains. And so I will have to say we have debunked that statement by her a few times. Okay? We have dodged ice. We have dodged tornadoes. We have dodged thunderstorms. I mean, we've seen it all. And, you know, the parade goes on, rain or shine, unless it is threatening inclement weather, and then we adjust. I remember one year we had our local emergency management watching the weather, and we had thunderstorms rolling in. So we started the parade about 45 minutes early. We're rushing to get everybody going so that we could get through that parade and get it done before the thunderstorms rolled in. So, you know, we always dodge weather. It's something we know we have to deal with. But, you know, we have never once, to my knowledge, in 90 years, rescheduled a Christmas parade, even during the COVID year.
Wow. And that's impressive in and of itself, that you've gone 90 years without rescheduling one. So what I'm hearing is if it's not severe weather, if there's not a warning out on something going on, if it's just a rainy day and that's it, parade's happening.
Parade is happening. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. It's how are you keeping all of this straight in your head, Beth? Because we've covered like half the list of events coming up in December.
I have a great calendar here. See, I have a calendar.
Yeah.
I have it all written down. I live and die by the calendar, and people who do what I do in other communities can appreciate where I'm coming from on this. And, they are working hard in their communities to make sure that everybody knows what's going on, knows what's happening. And, we go from one event to the next, and we're always working on multiple things at one time. And we live and die by that calendar, and we have a lot of great tools to help us stay organized. And we have a lot of great volunteers who help us with all of these things that we do. So I have to give credit to them. We have a staff of 3 here, and we cannot do all of this with 3 people. So the volunteers out there are towing the line, and they deserve the biggest amount of credit for all of these things that we do here in Greenwood.
A staff of 3. That's 3 events per staff member. Looking at the list I see here, that is just unreal. Do you see a lot of traffic come into Greenwood during this time of year for all the various events?
We really do. I will have to say, of course, Band Festival Day is famous. I mean, we have people come in literally from all over the state, and we've got bands who are coming in not just from Mississippi but from Arkansas, Tennessee. We get a lot of traffic here in Greenwood on Parade Day. It's a little slow going here in Greenwood on Parade Day, but everybody knows and understands what day it is. I think it's the only day that the banks close early, and it's not a national holiday here in Greenwood. So it's a local holiday. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's going to the bank while the parade's happening. Come on. Business can wait.
That's right. That's right.
This is only one time a year that you get to have this experience. And that's what I love. You talked about small communities all over the state and putting on special events and activities. And this definitely qualifies for the title special because 90 years is impressive. But you have to remember, this started because one guy said, hey, you know what we ought to do? And I guarantee you there were some people that told Roy, why? We don't need to waste our time on that. And look at it now. That's why you need to stay involved in these kind of things and possibly volunteer to help Beth because she needs everybody she can get. Is that fair?
That's right. It's when Roy had this vision, he wanted to do this mainly to help keep kids involved in music programs and band programs at school, which is, statistics have proven that kids who are involved in musical activities do better in school. So that was his vision when he started this whole thing. And of course, he had no idea how it would grow and evolve over the years, but it's a wonderful event, and it's a tradition. And, everybody has traditions. And that's for people have traditions, communities have traditions, and this is our legendary tradition that we hang our hat on here during the holiday season. But we're also making some new traditions here in Greenwood as well.
Yeah, very much. And if you want to stick around through the break, we'll talk about the rest of your calendar, at least briefly, and give an overview because I'm not joking. We haven't even covered half of the list yet of December events in Greenwood. So we'll get to the rest of it when we come back with Beth Stevens, Executive Director of the Leflore County Chamber, right after this on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Interviews, weather, sports, all right here, all morning long. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings. Dave Hughes here. Beth Stevens, the Executive Director of the Leflore County Chamber. And we've got a long list, and I think all the way down at the bottom of the list that I have, probably got a decent idea of what Ice Ice Baby is going to be about. Not Vanilla Ice, but we'll get to that in a moment. First, I want a little explanation about the Hushpuppy Music Co-op Christmas. That's one heck of a name.
Yes, it is. This is a relatively new nonprofit here in our community who they got a couple of guys that are just really great community citizens and just really into music and all of the history and the legend that comes with music here in the Delta. Started this a couple of years ago, and they are providing live music throughout the community at different times during the year. And so you can join and be a member of the co-op and go to these great live music shows that they have here in Greenwood. And there have really been some great performances by musicians, and they bring musicians in from all over the country. So it's really been a nice addition to our community because we do have such a history of music here in our community.
Well, and the thing is, when you have something like the rich history of music in the Delta, you kind of have to lean into that a little bit. You should anyway, I think.
Absolutely. It's, it's not just Greenwood. It's all over. Clarksdale, they're famous for their live music venues. I think every night they have live music in Clarksdale. So with the history that we have with the blues and all of that, it's just, people come to the Delta expecting to hear good music. So this organization is just helping to continue to provide that opportunity for people to listen to live music.
Well, and now we move on from there. The Hushpuppy Music Co-op Christmas next Friday, a week from today on December 12th is when that happens. And then that Saturday, a Dickens Christmas. I'm pretty sure we can all figure out what that is, right?
Yes, this is a new event for us. We just started it last year. We had an opportunity last year. I went to Franklin, Tennessee several years ago. My daughter lives in Nashville, and we had no idea when we got there that they were doing their annual.
I would go to look for one of those.
I got one off of Amazon last year. So believe it or not, you can get anything on Amazon. Just Google Victorian era clothes, and there's amazing products out there for your Dickens attire.
That'll be next Saturday, a week from tomorrow, the 13th. And then moving on, you've got a display by Tommy Goodman coming up as well, art-wise.
Yes, we have a great little museum here in Greenwood called the Museum of the Mississippi Delta, and throughout the year they have different exhibits that come and go, and Tommy Goodman is a pretty local artist here in our area, and he's going to have a great exhibit of his artwork. And of course the museum has standing exhibits all year long that tell the history of the Delta and everything that we have here. But we do have a lot of great exhibits that come through that museum throughout the year, and the Tommy Goodman is going to be a great exhibit at the museum.
Now, moving on from there, and by the way, no, we're still not at the end. This still isn't the last event. When I was not exaggerating, Beth. Why do you not look tired? That's what I can't figure out. You're all chirpy and happy.
It's parade day. We're supposed to look good on parade day. So eye patches. Okay. Eye patches.
Oh, okay. That makes perfect sense. Coming up on Thursday, the 18th, a couple of shows. The Buford Christmas at the Alluvion. What is that?
Yes. This is another legendary event. It hasn't been happening for 90 years, but it has been happening for about 20 years. And the Buford sisters, and they come and they sing, and let me tell you, people fight to get seats at this event, and that's why they have two shows. People come from all over the state. People come from Memphis. People come from Jackson. The Buford sisters are legendary, and they are just a beautiful blend of voices that just really kind of cap off the holiday season with some wonderful holiday music. So check that out. There are two shows that they do have because the seating is in such demand for that event.
Well, and that's what's so cool to me about the Delta is you can stop anywhere. You can stop in an empty field. There's music history that happened there. That's the Delta in general, isn't it?
That's it. I mean, it's everywhere you look. No matter where you look, it's whether it's parades with high school band music programs, whether it's live music venues throughout the Delta, whether it's the museums that we have all throughout the Delta that tell the story of our music history. Music is just woven into the fabric of who we are here in the Delta, and it just plays a huge role in everything that we do here.
And then on Friday, December 19th, you're inviting everyone to stop, collaborate, and listen with Ice Ice Baby. What is that? I had to do it. I had to make the joke, Beth.
I know. I was in Florida a few years ago when Vanilla Ice was actually playing at one of the local bars down there, and I thought, no, I can't. I had a flashback. But,
he's wearing different pants now, so it's okay.
Okay, good. No, it's ice skating. It's ice skating and bumper cars, and it's so much fun. And no, it's not real ice. Because you never know what the weather will be in the Delta. It could be 80 degrees outside. But it is, it's a great little setup where the kids and adults can come and ice skate, and there's the ice bumper cars. And it's just a great fun, another fun way to get out and do something cool for the holidays here in Greenwood.
Now, I'm going to ask a question I know the answer to, which is, what does somebody have to do if they want to participate in any of this? For a lot of it, basically just show up, right?
That's it. I mean, pretty much all of these events that we do are, for the most part, free. Obviously, the parade today is free, and there's no rain in the forecast, by the way, so come on to Greenwood, 4 o'clock. The Dickens Festival is free for the most part. We do charge a little bit for a carriage ride, but all of the kids' activities are free. I will say the Alluvian Hotel that day is having a Victorian tea time. So it's going to be an official Victorian tea. You do need to get tickets for that event, but that's going to be really cool. So, but that event does require tickets. So go to the Alluvian's website and get tickets for that. But the other part of the Dickens Festival is pretty much a free event. The Hushpuppy Music Co-op does, I think, have a little cover charge for that, but it's not much. It's definitely doable. But yes, a lot of these events are free, and you can get on the Chamber's website, or you can go to the tourism website, which is visitgreenwood.org, and our chamber website is greenwoodmschamber.com, and go to annual events, and you can see all of the things that are happening. And, it's free or almost free, I like to say, because we want everybody to come and enjoy the holidays here in Greenwood and share in the magic that we have here in our community.
Well, and I think it's a great thing because we tend to get caught up during the holiday season with worry and stress and trying to figure out what to get for this person or when to go see that person or everything else. Sometimes you got to take a break and just enjoy the season for what it is, and more importantly, what it should be. And that looks like that's what you're doing in Greenwood just about every year, this year included. So it's a fantastic thing. I'm glad you gave the website because I don't remember the events we talked about last segment. There's too many of them. So go to the website, give those websites again where they can get the full list of events and pick out which ones they're coming for.
Yes, so our chamber website is greenwoodmschamber.com, and if you click on annual events, you will see all of the different things that we as a chamber do. But also, we have on our homepage at the very bottom, there is a calendar of events that is for the entire community. So not just chamber events, but you can see other events that we mentioned today, because not everything we talked about today is done by the chamber, but we have that community calendar so you can see everything that's happening, and hopefully there will be some links on there that you can click on and learn about those events and find out when and where and what the cost is and all of that. So we like to have that community calendar available for everybody to take a look at.
Beth Stevens, Executive Director of the Greenwood Leflore County Chamber of Commerce, doing good work, and she's going to take one heck of a New Year's nap. I see it coming. Beth, thank you so much. Enjoyed talking to you. Keep up the great work up there, okay?
We will. Thank you so much. And it's been great to be on with you today, and we're just excited for our community and for what's happening around Mississippi in general.
We will continue on mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi right after this.
From theseabrook.com.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. Welcome to the show.
So I says to the missus, the tree's not dressed, the toy's not out, so I'd best get ahead. She says, me dear, sure they're upstairs, hidden in the attic. So up the stairs, I did creep as quietly as
In case you ever wondered what Lance does with his free time, it's dig up stuff like this.
Oh, yeah. You got to love a Cajun polka Christmas.
Well, yeah, you got it's borderline Zydeco. It's not really, but it's in that direction.
Polka. Yeah. It's funny how polka, is almost like Cajun music. Almost.
You put an accordion in anything, it's Cajun music. That's just the way it works.
Yeah. Well, I love that one. Yeah, that guy. He's telling you the story of not being prepared at Christmas, and make the wife happy. He better get to work.
Well, right before we came on the air, you said you mentioned that it was a polka song we were coming into. I can't hear the word polka without thinking about Weird Al Yankovic, who's coming to Brandon next year.
Yeah. And I'll be there for that. I hope to get backstage passes, an idol and hero of mine.
I will say, and this has been a push forever, that's who they need for the Super Bowl halftime show.
I'm in. I mean, I grew up
Weird
with this
Al.
guy. I always thought, if you can make a living doing what he's doing, you've got to have the greatest job on the planet. And he obviously, he looks like he did when he was 28.
Yeah.
He's just had a blast his whole life making fun of stuff. So,
if you're not familiar with him, every album he's ever put out had a polka medley on it where he takes popular songs from the last year or two and sets it to a high-tempo polka song. And it's just absolutely incredible. It was mashups before mashups existed, and it was so good. So, yeah, I'm going to do my best to be there as well because... Come on,
that's one you don't
Weird
want to
Al.
miss. Yeah, a guy like him is never going to come back around again. I don't think.
No,
not with music the way it is today. And again, there's no complaint. It's just you're never going to see another Weird Al Yankovic, and especially probably somebody that makes a career living out of parody in the music world.
You're very gracious. I'm going to complain. I can count on the fingers of one foot the number of songs that have come out in the last year that I went, ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's the way it is, huh?
Yeah, it's all over algorithmed, over researched, flavorless, soulless noise. Is what it feels like to me. I am sounding more like a disgruntled old man with every day that goes by.
Yeah, you can. When you leave, make sure you holler at some clouds outside just to get the old man.
Tell them young clouds, get out my yard.
Get out of here, you clouds.
Stop picking my apples.
Well, we did have Thomas. He's upset with us this morning. Just joking. He's not. But he says, wait, only 20 minutes left and no mention of Lane Kiffin? Is this a trend? No, I don't think it's a trend. I think you're going to hear a lot more mentioned nationally, potentially legally, litigiously, as time passes. As Keith Carter, I believe, has announced that they will be looking into some restitution for some misspent funds. They've got plenty of evidence to suggest that while on a trip to Baton Rouge, he expensed the whole thing.
Of course.
Who are we talking about? Lane Kiffin, not Juice Kiffin, the dog that got left behind, but we're talking about the guy that left the dog behind. And so, yeah, I think we'll hear a lot more as we keep going with this.
You know, with his career trajectory, I am amazed no one has hung a nickname on Lane Kiffin yet that has stuck, and I've got one.
Please share it.
Leapin' Lane.
Leapin' Lane.
Every year or two, he's going to make the leap to another program.
I saw something earlier as well. One of the ESPN, I believe, analysts was saying that, the moment Alabama opens up, it was what she was kind of waiting on, I believe, that, during this 3 or 4 weeks, that was what he was really hoping to parlay, and ends up getting the LSU job, which is a great job in all its own. A lot more freedom. I mean, you really don't have to do anything but coach football now, I think, and maybe that's what he was looking for, but we'll see. As soon as the Alabama job opens up, if he's not persona non grata over there after his tenure, then he'll jump again.
Sooner or later, he's going to burn out his opportunity list.
I would say this, burning all the bridges you possibly can everywhere you go, eventually it leads to a much more tenuous crossing somewhere, sometime.
Yeah. Well, you wind up burning yourself is what you wind up doing. And then
or swimming.
Then your wagon falls into the Ohio River and you die of dysentery.
Yeah, that's Oregon Trail. You and I,
there
man.
You go.
Yeah, we could sit down with a DOS version of a green screen computer, slip in the old floppy, and I could play Oregon Trail for 12 hours straight, I guarantee you, and probably never make it to the end. I don't know if I ever made it. It was always dysentery, drown when the wagon tumped over, something like that.
North Mississippi's getting a new area code.
Oh, really? Cool. We can keep up with more stuff now.
The 662, they're putting in a new 471 area code that's covering the same area that the 662 does, starting at the end of January. Reason why is 662, they're going to run out of numbers next year. So they have to do something about it. Now, what this means, though, is if you currently live in the 662, when this goes into effect January 30th, 662 and 471, there will be both area codes in that region because it does overlap. So you will have to dial the area code to make a local call. You know, usually a lot of times you don't have to dial the area code, but when this goes into effect, you will have to dial either 662 or an increasing number of 471s, or your call is just not going to go through. That's coming up January 30th is when that goes into effect, because what we really needed was a little more confusion. I think we have been too steady lately, so this will help things right out.
It's been too easy here in Mississippi.
Yes.
I remember when we only had the 601, then we got the 662, then you got the coastal one. Now we'll have a fourth. That'll add up with the number of congressional districts, and before long, they'll add that fifth congressional district back, and we'll have a fifth area code.
Well, those two things will happen simultaneously. We'll get a fifth area code and a fifth congressional district back.
Hey, that's what we ought to do. We ought to be petitioning for that. Like every congressional district has its own area code.
Here's my question. If they ever did that, if they ever add in a fifth congressional district, we're not trending in that direction. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
No, I was kidding,
Yeah, but let's say they did, and all of a sudden we had 5 congressional districts again. Could we then go back and hold a vote on the citizen ballot initiative thing once we had 5 districts again, and this time nobody could overturn it?
There you go. I mean, it would take, 3 out of the 5? Is that what the last time? Yeah.
Well, I think it's a majority of each one of the 5 congressional districts.
Okay. Yeah, that's confusing a little bit.
It specifically mentioned 5 districts, which is why that got overturned, and we don't have a ballot initiative program in the state because heaven knows nobody wants to sign on to it to bring it back. I'm just saying, if you tell your mama and them and your cousins and your brothers and your aunts and your uncles and your friends and your gaming buddies on Discord, come on over here and move into Mississippi. We can pump up the population numbers and get citizen initiative back. That's a long train to get there, but I would assume it will work that way, wouldn't it?
I guess. I mean, the whole ballot initiative thing, and I understand that it should be not the easiest thing to achieve. You need to have enough consensus for something to get on the ballot and it not be, too easy, because then anything can overrule the legislature that has been elected to represent you. Now, obviously, if the legislature is not representing the will of the people, hopefully that's where that ballot initiative comes in, and you can go out and supersede their authority. But that's not where we are right now.
Well, the problem to me is, and this is a truism that just holds up year after year, the truth is always somewhere in the middle. The best path is always somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. California is all the way at one end of this spectrum. They have some of the most crazy ballot initiatives that are just thrown out like beads at Mardi Gras parades every single time the ballot box is open. That's one extreme. The other extreme is where we're at right now, where there is zero avenue for a ballot initiative. The best course is always going to be somewhere in the middle there.
I agree. I think it's Family Guy where there's kind of a funny parody on that where they're talking about initiative or Proposition 47, or did you vote for Proposition? No, that's the one for this. No, what about Proposition 55? And they're all ballot initiatives. And yes, you're right. It can get crowded quickly with a bunch of junk that has no prayer, much like what we see with, I mean, if you looked at the legislative calendar and some of the things that were proposed last year, makes you scratch your head to what in the world we're doing at times, though. So I think it goes both ways, doesn't it? Where the people would obviously have some things that don't need to be on the ballot, just like we see in the legislature where there's a waste of paper and time debating an issue that should not be on the legislative agenda.
If you set the qualifying bar high enough at the right level, not so high it can never be achieved, but not so low that you're California, right there, again, in the middle, well, people will get out there and do all the arguing for you, and you're not clogging up government. And then when something does make it through, well, we need to take a look at this. Yeah. It's a filtering mechanism that we decided we don't need a filter on the water. We're just going to drink it straight from the tap.
Great point.
And I think that's a mistake, and we need to take a look at that. Final segment of Mornings on this Friday morning next.
From the Venable Glass.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk, Mississippi Mornings on a Friday morning, presented, of course, by the folks at Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net is the place to go to find out more. I just ran across something. I haven't previewed any of this, but the language app Babbel.
Oh, yeah.
Babel. They have released the most mispronounced words of the year.
Okay.
The Louvre. The museum. Mm-hmm. My favorite, though, the top one is New York City Mayor-elect Zordan Mothra, or whatever his name is. Yeah. Nobody can pronounce it. He's actually joked about it. You think, you can go fill out one form and pay a small fee and you can become, Bobby Smith. And then you solve that problem.
Yeah. It blows your mind sometimes about what's going on in New York. But when you have people like Ilhan Omar that are elected, it doesn't really blow your mind anymore when you step back and go, wow. Yeah. But yeah, Thomas, you don't mess with the Zohan. Exactly.
You don't mess with the Zohan. Exactly. Exactly.
What
correct,
a great movie,
Thomas.
too. I love that. The fizzy bubbly. But I was going to say there's a great image out there on Twitter. If you want to know what's under the head diaper that Ilhan wears, then it's there. And it looks like scrub brush out in West Texas. So go ahead. No wonder she never takes that off.
Yeah, you sent me that picture, and now that is burned into my retinas. Thank you. By the way, thank you so much for that.
And since it is the weekend, there is also another wonderful little meme out there on Twitter of the gorilla saying no thank you to a lady.
You are addicted to that, aren't you?
I can't quit watching it, man. It's so good. You listen to the commentary from her and the guy filming it as the gorilla walks off, and then all the school kids are standing around at the zoo.
I'm going to call out right now for help now and in the future from the C Spire text line. Chat, can you help me find Lance a hobby? Lance needs something to do with his free time because he's watched that, a dozen times in the last hour?
And at least, yes. I can't quit watching it. It is too good, but it's definitely worth a look if you like laughing till you cry. But turn the volume on so you can hear the commentary, because it's almost like a pick six happens.
I have an opportunity for you to make a bunch of money, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I'm in.
If you're interested.
Is it legal?
Yes.
Oh, dang.
Yes.
Dang.
There's a guy that is the CEO of a Columbia Sportswear, pretty well-known company, worth about $4 billion. Tim Boyle has promised he will give the company away. He will literally just hand it over to somebody, lock, stock, and barrel. All you got to do is prove to him that the earth is flat.
Oh, okay, yeah. Give it a try, huh?
Well, they should be lining up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, there's
If you can prove that, yeah, I'm in. If somebody can actually prove it, I'd like that'd be fun. We're just a frisbee, in the
Yes.
universe. Just, when does it come back or go in the circle or is it wobbling? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, if it was flat, then you'd run into the problem of that we were worried about with Guam. If we get too many people on one side of it, what's going to happen? It's going to tip over and we're all going to fall off.
Well, you got to worry because, between China and India and Southeast Asia, you're working on about 40% or more of the world's population, so it's starting to tip a little bit.
Well, you've got self-image problems if you identify with pizza toppings, because that's basically what you're doing if you believe in the fact that the earth is flat, which it is not.
Well, before we leave, I have to ask Keith and JS. He said on Monday he still had 2 slices of pina colada rum cake left. It is Friday. Are you still holding on to that for a special occasion, or was that is down the gullet and see you later?
There could have been an oopsie.
Yeah, I would have put it down quickly with probably a pina colada along with it.
Oh, double colada.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't had
man.
a pina colada in a long time. Those are delicious.
Party animal.
As an ex-bartender, you had to try stuff. And I always liked the pina colada. That was a good one.
It's a hard life.
Tough.
Yeah, and I don't know how you make it through that, buddy.
I just close my eyes and start feeling. That's how I work. You just close your eyes and feel through the dark. I do have a stick too. So
that's also how Bill Clinton lived his life. So it's a totally different conversation, though. Lance, buddy, I've enjoyed it as always.
Oh, I love it, man. That's why I played "Can't Let You Go," "Never Let You Go" by Third Eye Blind. I love you, man. It's always fun. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll get to do this next week.
Yes, and stop watching that video. It's bad for your health, man.
Cannot promise anything.
Yeah, I know. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll do this again next week, Friday morning at 6:06, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.